Hi, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting of the Technical Working Group Subcommittee of June 25th, 2025 to order. Let's begin with a roll call, and then we can proceed to the agenda.
Thank you, Vice Chair. One moment. City of Half Moon Bay. Absent. City of Brisbane.
Terry O'Connell,
City of Hillsborough.
Christine Kroll.
City of Millbrae. Absent. And City of Redwood City. Absent. We currently do not have a quorum, Vice Chair.
okay, I don't think that we really need a quorum to proceed with this agenda that we have, because we are not going to be making any decisions. We will just be presenting our responses to the full Airport Land Use Committee. So, excuse me, not airport roundtable, thinking of tomorrow's meeting. And we will go on to public comments for items not on the agenda. Are there any members of the public online who would like to speak?
Just the public comment instructions for members of the public, the full instructions on how to participate will be on the published agenda. Currently, we did not receive any written public comments, and there are no public members of the public with their hands raised.
Okay. So the next item that we're going to be discussing is an intro and comments from myself and the chair. Before we get into the presentation and discussion on tonight's agenda, I want to extend a warm welcome to our new members who have not joined us in the meeting yet. We're grateful to have the voices at the table when we get them, and I hope they will be joining us in the next few minutes. Tonight we have a key item that shapes our work for the coming year, the draft 25-26 work plan. This plan outlines our strategic priorities and areas of oversight related to noise mitigation, flight operation, ground noise, public engagement, and more. As the technical working group, our role is essential in this process. This is the group that provides the technical lens and operational insight that informs the full roundtable's decision. Tonight is the opportunity to review the draft plan and offer recommendations before it is finalized and presented for adoption at the August roundtable meeting. The input helps ensure the plan is not only forward-thinking, but also grounded in the realities and needs of our community members. With that, we'll go into our work plan item for tonight. Vanessa Lee, our roundtable coordinator, will walk us through the year's work plan, and after her presentation, we'll open the floor for discussion. Before we hear this item, I will call for any public comments on the work plan from members in the room or members of the public. Diane, do we have any public comments, either written or on Zoom?
Yes, we have one Zoom participant with their hands raised, Miss Yapley.
Especially with consultant conclusions. While not required by the Brown Act, this is a best practice in my city. For example, the ground-based noise project was substantive and valuable with 99 pages of data, but key slides summarizing the hypotheses and conclusions were not provided in advance, limiting the opportunity for informed public input, particularly from an advocacy lens. ANEEM results showed significantly higher noise when using C weighting over A weighting, SEL differences between 11 and 15 dB, LMAX differences up to 15 dB at several monitors. This data substantiates that C weighting is more representative of ground-based noise impacts and should be shared with the FAA as a critical, real-world proof point for the noise policy review. The Roundtable previously urged the FAA to evaluate C weighting in its comments and now has the data to support that position. For ground-based noise communities, both C weighting and N above metrics are essential. An advocacy lens also adds context. In the Noise 101 training, DNL was said to account for the number of events. It accounts for them, but it doesn't count them, an important distinction that some folks may have missed. The Roundtable and others have rightly called for more representative metrics like N above in FAA noise policy comments. Just a comment, I think the link on the email, I was unable to get into this meeting and I went on the website instead and used that link. So FYI, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yapley. So can you do it
We have
again? We have another.
one Zoom participant, Sin Rivas. Please go ahead.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Srinivas, a resident of Foster City. I had a couple of questions. One is I see that the Fly Quiet program is being reinstated, and I think this is a great program that SFO Noise Office has initiated. I was wondering if there is anything addition to just the awards that can be done here to incentivize the airlines and the pilots to take the offset approaches. Is there any, maybe perhaps a discount or something that SFO can provide to the airlines to have better compliance or better adherence to the offset approaches? I wanted to get Bert's feedback on this and see if there is anything that that can be done in regards to not just the awards, in something more than just the awards.
Well, we can't.
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, were you complete?
No, that was basically my question.
Oh, okay. I don't think we can address anything that comes from public comments
Okay.
at this time when it's not on our agenda. If Bert can give a quick or is able to give a quick comment, but I don't think he really, I don't think this is the place for it, but we will let the question be out there so that he can give an answer later.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
There are no other hands raised or participants in the room.
Okay, great. Vanessa, would you like to go ahead and give us your review of the draft 2025 work plan?
Sure. Thank you, Chair O'Connell, and good evening to everyone in the room and everyone who's joining me via Zoom. So as part of tonight's agenda, we are reviewing the draft 25-26 work plan. The document outlines key strategies that will guide the Roundtable's efforts over the next year. And this document will be reviewed, edited, and finalized by this group prior to going to the full review and approval from the full Roundtable at our meeting in August, hopefully. So tonight I'll walk us through 6 strategic goals that are in the work plan. And I'm going to highlight core areas of that are continuing for the previous year. And I'm also going to highlight areas that are going to be expanded and built upon in this work plan. Thank you. So there's 6 strategic goals in the work plan. And I do want to note that there's a typo in the memo that went out to everyone that says that there's 7 goals, but there's actually only 6. So I just wanted to point that out. So the 6, so this is the presentation overview. So the overview of this presentation, we're going to review and discuss the draft work plan. And then we really want to gather input from everyone at the TWG and then the full Roundtable in August. So the 6 strategic goals are legislative advocacy, member support in public education, partnerships on noise mitigation, strengthening the Fly Quiet program, which we just heard a comment about a couple minutes ago, flight procedure oversight, and community reach and outreach. So the core priorities that are going to continue from previous work that we have done and previous work plans that the Roundtable has already approved. So these priorities remain the heart of the Roundtable's work. The first one is flight procedure oversight. So there's going to be ongoing monitoring of the night and hush departures. We're going to continue to review concerns around shortcuts when airlines request those. And then we're also going to review use of runway 28 for nighttime arrivals. So another area of continued focus is our collaboration and review of the Fly Quiet program, and as well as the SFO development plan. So this is goals and priorities that were in the previous year's work plan that we're going to continue to focus on this year. So this includes the commitment that the Roundtable made to reinstate those airline awards and incentives as it relates to the Fly Quiet program, as well as improving compliance tracking and really promoting accountability in both of those plans. Another area that's going to remain consistent is, this is perhaps the most important of the areas, is our partnerships on noise mitigation. So this plan emphasizes ongoing collaboration with SFO's Noise Abatement Office, which Bert is here with us today, the FAA, who has joined our last roundtable meeting, as well as our elected officials, who provide proactive input on all of our strategic plans, development plans, and noise actions. And there's going to be a particular attention to the health-related impacts of noise on surrounding communities. So on the next slide that we're looking at, we will look at what the current plan builds upon for the year. So the first update I want to highlight relates directly to this committee, the TWG. So the technical working group really plays a critical role in the operational and programmatic work at the Roundtable. So considering this, the proposed work plan seeks to further expand the role of the group to provide more oversight and focus, and this is specifically on ground-based noise. So following the completion of the Up the Hill study that we saw last month, and that went to the Ground-Based Noise Committee and then the full Roundtable, there was a desire to continue to explore options for noise abatement on the ground. And so we're expanding that to the role of the TWG. The next item to highlight is an expanded focus on community reach. So the plan emphasizes targeted outreach to neighborhoods that are most impacted by airport noise. The goal and aim of this is to really just ensure that all of the concerns of the community are heard and reflected throughout the work that the Roundtable does. So the next item here is, with the expanded focus, is legislative advocacy. So engagement with elected officials has always been a priority, but this year's plan really aims to strengthen that commitment by assigning a more active role to the legislative committee. So historically, that committee has not met as frequently as the other committees. And so although we know that legislation around noise abatement and noise at airports is not frequently updated, I do think it would be in the Roundtable's best interest to reconvene the legislative subcommittee so that we can track relevant policy developments and we can explore opportunities for supporting legislation should something come up. And also forming partnerships, as was mentioned by our public comment, with some of our advocacy organizations. The next item we will enhance is education and transparency. So this was part of last year's work plan, but this year we're placing a greater focus on this by improving items that really promote education on airport noise and resources for mitigation. So an example of this is enhanced website functionality, expanding public learning resources, and creating more accessible ways for residents to engage with the Roundtable's work through attending our meetings and better coordination with staff. Lastly, a key area of focus to note is refining our support tools for Roundtable members and members of the public. So this year's plan narrows in on very practical, easy to use resources that help members better understand and communicate about noise issues to their communities. So some examples include updated and easy to take and provide noise 101 trainings. So as some of us saw at our noise 101 meeting, We oftentimes refer members to the website and we say you can click through the links. So the idea there is just to kind of streamline that process and update those links with more relevant information and also easier to use information. Another idea here is education around aviation terms so that roundtable members can better communicate with their constituents who do have complaints, and also just opportunity for members of the public to reach out to the roundtable. So the 2025-26 work plan is really designed to keep us focused, collaborative, and adaptive. There's a lot of momentum that has been built up in the roundtable over the last several years, and this work plan really works to build on that and also prepare us by sharpening our tools so when we're ready for action if something were to happen where we could make that change and mitigate noise for the constituents. So I'm going to open it up for thoughts. The full work plan is in the packet, and it looks like we have two of our members here. So this slide just shows some prompts. So areas that need further refinement, elements that need stronger emphasis, or any feedback before this document is taken to the full roundtable for review. And that is the end. So I'll pass it back to you, Madam Chair, to open up for discussion.
Okay. So are there any members that have a comment at the moment to start us off? Seeing none, I do see a member of the public that has a comment. Please, Darlene, why don't you go ahead?
Great direction on the work plan. I just have a few minor comments. Goal 1, item 3. While quieter procedures and technology are important, the work plan should also have the lived experience of communities through better metrics and meaningful representation on FA advisory bodies. The roundtable supported both of these in the past Federal Register comments and should continue advancing these positions. Goal 1, item 4. This is great direction. I encourage prioritizing groups led by impacted communities with proven expertise and advocacy. Be discerning. Look beyond convening and committee participation roles to a demonstrated track record of policy analysis, written positions, and measurable outcomes. Goal 3, item 2. Include SFO recommended airport development plan, RADP, and add noise in addition to health-related impacts. Goal 4. The fly quiet criteria was developed over a decade ago. Before strengthening compliance tracking, consider refining the program to better reflect what airlines can and cannot do today, what they can control, and align more directly with the Roundtable's recent goals like discouraging shortcut practices. This includes analyzing which aircraft and procedures generate more noise, how time of day and routing play a role, and whether some airlines are consistently quieter using the same equipment. I suggest the largest carrier, United, can support this effort by sharing what's in their control and what constraints exist. Their insights could help shape a more effective, realistic program. Lastly, an overarching comment, consider advocacy lens across the work plan implementation to provide insight with subject matter expertise to strengthen the outcomes of the plan. Thank you.
You know, that's so much stuff in 2 minutes, and I see where 2 minutes when we're discussing this kind of thing really isn't very effective for me in the listening mode, to be able to really analyze what Ms. Yapley was saying. I'm sure that staff can go back and listen to it and try to tease out some of the things, but you know, again, when we're talking about this big of a document to look at, and that we're just looking at goals, you know, maybe if we were to allow the public to, you know, take a little bit of time and have an interface with us that would work better in this particular moment. Does staff agree with me on that?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I also, it's similar breath, was gonna ask Darlene if she could email over those comments over to me so that I can make sure that I tried to write down as much of that as I heard. But I thought the comments were really great and well received. So Darlene, if you can email those just kind of bullet points over and then we can discuss them.
Would we be able to do that in this meeting, or is that something you'd want to look at?
Sure. Yeah, well, there's an opportunity to do that at this meeting now. We don't have any more public comments or any more hands raised. So if we want to just, Darlene, I think you may have had 4 comments, 4 goals. And so if we want to just go through each one and discuss each one, that's.
So I think that'd be great, Darlene, if you want to come in, more in the participatory portion of this. And I think it might be that we're going to be walking through this and just make sure that we're overarching enough.
Yeah.
That we are getting the gist of where, the roadmap of where we're going to go this year or hope to go. And so, it's something that it'd be good to try to get that the feel of what you're trying to accomplish into the kind of wording that we're looking for, so that when we go to do something, it is in our work plan if it's something we want to do.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I did try my best to put it into 2 minutes.
Well, I think that's, as long as we're in this collaborative kind of workspace where we're working on a document, I think that's when we should be able to have a back and forth. And that's what the technical working group, typically allows for us to do. Certainly more so than when we're in a regular meeting. And I keep looking at the screen rather than looking at the owl, and I know that's probably awkward. But if we were going to start on strategic goal number 1, strengthen engagement with federal, state, and local delegations to reduce on airport noise reduction initiatives. Was there something in that section that you had a comment on? Because I had a hard time following you.
Yes, thank you. So one comment is, it's great that you have health impacts, but the only current legislation is on noise impacts. So I think it's important to do both noise and health impacts in all of the text. So I think you have it in item 2 and item 3 where it focuses on health. And there's another place in the document where it's only health. And I just think it is important to put noise in there because it makes it sound like that's not where our focus is going to be.
Well, I know that when we did the response to the FAA reauthorization, that we really tried to, while our charter doesn't really allow for us to be talking about health, we can talk about it if it's noise related.
Yes.
And so when we did the reauthorization comments, we were really we made sure that anything that we had in our work plan or in our comments related to noise being a health issue, so that it didn't get us in trouble with how we're organized. And so I'm not sure if that's something we need to address in this document too, with not having the emphasis on health. It has to be noise related by health related by noise in some aspect. So is there some particular wording that jumps out at you in this first section, Darlene?
Yeah, I think if you look at the item number 2, it says factors that affect aircraft noise impacts to residents. Instead of especially health impacts, it should be including health impacts, because it's both noise and health. It's an and, not a one's more important than the other. And there's only legal standing for the annoyance, the noise impacts. So we don't want to diminish that. That is an important, legislative item is annoyance. Even though everyone doesn't like the word necessarily, it's an important, noise impacts is equally important. It's also somewhere else in the document. I'll see it when we go lower, but that's one comment in item number 2. And then in,
So
oh,
rather than especially, you'd be including?
yeah, including health impacts.
Okay. Okay.
And then in item number 3, again, it talks about legislation that prioritizes quieter flight procedures, operational restrictions, and technological advancements. But there's other elements that the roundtable has commented on that are equally important, like metrics that better represent noise, and including communities in any advisory committee. So again, both of those the roundtable put in their noise policy review comment, and then they've also made comments about the community inclusion when they endorsed the Quiet Skies Community 40-person letter that endorsed the AICA grassroots letter. So again, it's not it's just adding a few more things because that might be a little bit too restrictive. Item number 3. I don't know if that makes sense, but I would add the metrics to better represent community impacts and the inclusion of community in FA advisory committees. As you know, we're waiting to find out about the ANAC, which is the Aircraft Noise Advisory Committee, and the letter that the roundtable sent several months ago was to make sure that there was going to be adequate representation of communities. So I'm just saying the scope of legislation is a little bit wider than the items listed, and those things are very key. We just don't want to miss out on other opportunities.
So on that, if there were a little bit added, and maybe I'm paraphrasing this wrong, the metrics relate, advancement to reduce noise pollution, and the metrics used, and the metrics relating to noise measurements. Would that give us a broad enough scope that we would be looking also at those metrics?
Yeah, could you repeat that? Sorry, Terry. The terms.
I was just adding advancement to reduce noise pollution and the metrics relating to noise measurements.
Yeah,
That would be a broad enough, because we're looking for very broad
categories.
overarching phrases that to just add to the scope, not necessarily look at very specific things within that scope, because that'll be something that will come out from what work needs to be done. Does that make sense to everybody?
I understand you're needing to abstract. I wonder if the word is maybe noise policy, because noise measurement could be restricted just to monitoring.
Okay, and the metrics relating to noise policies.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the only other one I would say is something about representation, community representation, because they're going to stand up a committee, and of course, a committee that's going to influence noise policy, we would want to have adequate representation outside of the aviation industry. So some high level abstraction about representation, community representation, or
well, this goal is to
sponsor legislation,
to work on, legislation and initiatives at the 10,000 foot level that, certainly are being driven at the ground level by us, and so I'm not sure how that really that might be in goal in section number 4, because that's where we address the community concerns. So maybe that's where we put in something.
let me suggest, I know it sounds odd, but believe it or not, it's section 793 or 794, I can't remember. But there was legislation specifically about setting up an advisory committee, and it specifically set, the legislation described who would be members of that committee. Airlines, airports, researchers, and they did say the word community in the legislation. And so now what we want, so I think it is in scope of legislation to specify membership in a committee.
Do you see somehow we can put that in?
I think it would definitely be under the purview of the legislative subcommittee to review that. I'm trying to think of a way to incorporate it that's broad enough that gives us the flexibility and doesn't pin us down specifically. I think,
I mean, they do
How
talk
about
about
if it's something broad, like representative of the impacts? Because then you want to make sure whatever you do is representative of whatever impacts.
well, maybe if in section 4, where it says by collaborating with established advocacy groups, sorry,
Yeah,
and local constituents, Roundtable can amplify its voice.
yeah, I think the only difference, Terry, is I see that as like teaming and collaborating with advocacy groups, but the other one, you're actually working with on the legislative proposals, which is what you guys have done in the Ledge Committee and the letters that have been sent to the House of Representatives. So I don't know, maybe, Jean, I saw your your face on the video. Do you have a suggestion on wording that's kind of high level?
Can you hear me?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah, I'm struggling as well. I would have piped in earlier. I think we just want to be sure that the roundtable is represented in some way, right? In order to review or recommend updates to noise policy. Is that what we're trying to say?
well, I think you know that there's some committees that the FAA has stood up that don't include whether it's a council person or a non-aviation representative, if you will. And so the ANAC, as you're familiar with, I think you
Yes.
folks gave the update. In that legislation, it does require community representation. So I think that is an important piece to the advocacy, is to continue that.
Right. And it's not to say we're going to get a representative on ANAC because they're only going to
Correct.
do, what is it, 2 representatives, but we need to be represented somehow in ANAC, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I wanted to clarify. It's not that this roundtable is advocating for themselves to be the representative. They want to feel like whoever the 2 are, there is going to be representation of the community impacts. Yeah.
And maybe there's a way to say, try to have some sort of a line of communication with the community representatives on ANAC. Right, to be able to, once you find out who they are, you then make sure that they're understanding the roundtable's concerns.
Yeah, I think that the legislation would be that you would want to make sure whoever the FAA selects would be representative, right?
Okay,
Representative of the concerns, whether it's the roundtable or anybody else, feeling comfortable that whoever was the 2 people that are selected would be, authentic representatives, if you will.
right. Not sure how we
Yeah, I'm not sure how to word
manage
that.
that,
Maybe.
or even that we can do that, right? Who knows who the FAA is going to select in this process, right? But I think what you're saying is make sure that whoever is selected is able to represent the viewpoints of the San Francisco Roundtable.
Yeah, so I think just to up level it a little bit, I think it's just that this topic we're discussing is in scope of legislation, because
Right.
that's the section that we're talking about, to make sure that if the roundtable advocated for legislation, that would be in scope, and that right now it's not, because it's flight procedures, operational restrictions, and technological advancements.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to put policy in there as well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what was that? Gene, what was that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I said, I think what we want in there is basically just and policy or and noise policy.
Yeah,
or
and noise
federal
policy.
Noise policy or something like that.
That's good, because that doesn't restrict it to these specific topics.
Right.
Yeah.
So would just adding in section 2, was it in section 2 or I guess 3, required or flight procedures and noise policies?
Or can I offer a suggestion
Sure,
that
sure.
maybe that entire last line, so to draft, introduce, and support legislation that prioritizes, and maybe we eliminate quieter flight procedures, operational restrictions, technological advances, and replace it, like what I think what Jean and Darlene are saying is with something that says, you know, that prioritizes. I was gonna say policy that
Noise
prioritize
reduction.
noise reduction policies that best represents the roundtable's interests, or something in that.
Yeah, yeah. I
something in
think
Or
that's good, because that
represent
leaves it open.
That leaves it open
the
enough.
community
Community concerns and roundtable initiatives. Because it
initiatives.
leaves it open enough and flexible enough for whatever evolves for us to be able to work on that based on this goal in the work plan. So if something comes up, or if there is someone who's appointed that the roundtable wants to send a letter about, or wants to have ideas or thoughts on, or any policy, broad policy that happens, it leaves it open enough for us to.
Okay, and did you have a comment there? I wasn't sure when you.
On this,
Gene,
the last one I was gonna ask, so you said policies that represent roundtable, what was it?
Roundtable initiatives, goals, and community concerns.
And community concerns.
Okay, thank you.
I like that. I think that's better than narrowing them all down. Yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes you want it to be broad, sometimes you want it to be specific, so
Yes.
that's why we're working on it.
We'll just have to be clear which one we want.
Okay, are we going on to strategic plan goal number 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And Darlene, where did you have a concern?
Actually, no, not in any of those. I think they're all good. Thumbs up.
Great. Okay,
Next was goal 3.
I think goal 3.
goal 3.
And I wrote down the RADP for,
Yeah,
I think this is goal 3, number 2. And so
Yeah,
Bert, I wanted to just pass
So
that
this
over
is-
to you to see if that seemed like something we could.
This is an example of, possibly being more specific. So as you're aware, the San Francisco Airport issued their recommended airport development plan, which is called the RADP. And I was not clear in reading item 2 if that included the RADP or not. I would think it should.
It does have the development plan here. And so what I can do is maybe spell that out so that it's, or put the acronym behind it so that it's clear what we're referring to in that bullet.
Yeah, just because it was so literal, yeah. And then the
Okay.
other thing is you can see at the end of that sentence, it again says health-related environmental impacts. So it should be noise and health.
Okay. So there we put, consider putting focus on environmental justice, comma, noise and health related environmental impacts.
Or you could just say environmental impacts if you wanted to keep it short, but
And I do think the environmental justice is a very important
Okay.
word phrasing to have in there because of the extra the offsite impacts that are going to happen with traffic and other things that, particularly for Millbrae and the close-in communities, that we need to be aware of those.
I think that section is missing GBAS procedures as well.
Oh, in this,
In two,
Yeah.
yeah, you're probably right about that. Good catch there.
Which goal and number are we on? Sorry.
We're going back to goal 2.
goal 3 and item number 2.
And for goal 2, that looked good to everybody. I didn't know, Vanessa, I had sent some suggested changes. Are we going with that, with the original draft or the draft that includes the changes that I suggested?
I believe I was under the impression that this is a draft that included the changes that you suggested. Christine, did I miss,
Great.
did you have a specific change?
I sent some changes on Monday, but I've not seen, I don't know if we can share the document that we're working on, because to make
Okay.
it's the same copy that I have. Sorry.
I printed out your changes. I wasn't sure if your changes were just the ones in green or if yours were the highlighted in yellow.
I think highlighted in yellow.
So I think so since we noticed the meeting and the members of the public are not privy to those changes, Christine, if you want to just go ahead, and I think this will be the great time for maybe you to, if you want to say what those changes are for everyone, and then we could
Just
consider.
briefly and broadly, just to add
Mhm.
under goal 2, item 4, just to add ground-based noise issues.
Okay. I do have that, so I will be able to share that with staff afterwards if we agree on them. So basically the changes to this was the roundtable will expand the subcommittee oversight to address both departure and arrival noise issues as well as ground-based noise issues affecting all roundtable communities.
Great. And then
Um,
5, just broadly, just to restate that we're going to work collectively with everyone. And then I just brought back some things from last year's work plan that had been dropped that I think we're still working on. The different I believe, if I understand my roundtable history, that we had worked with the FAA on certain GBAS procedures, and some of them, I just thought maybe we should just carry that work forward a little bit instead of just dropping that.
Well, I think that when we get to working with SFO Noise Abatement's office, that's where we address the GBAS rather than in which Bert did bring up, that we, but this is this is things that are in what the technical working group is working on. So, we should probably list it in both places.
Yeah, so I just to note, when the work plan was developed, this was during the time when the FAA had gone radio silent, and we had not heard from them, and they had canceled our check-in meetings. And so the idea was not to well, my thought process with this was not to specifically call out the FAA in the work plan in the event that we were not able to collaborate with them this year. And so I wanted to kind of broadly state what the priorities were, and really just working with the noise abatement office, because that's a partnership we knew we had for the year. So now that we have gotten the FAA back and we're getting a little bit of communication, I do think it may be worth specifically calling that out. So I'm not sure where that would land, but I think we are adding GBAS procedures to this is goal 3, number 2. And so I'm not sure if that's an area where we can include that, Christine, if that's something you may be interested in.
I think that I think that what I'm seeing with the notes from Christine, that, some of it is a little more specific than we want to put in the work plan. I do think that in the section that's dealing with what the technical working group, it can be a goal. We really, at this point, don't know how much support we will get from the FAA, and hopefully it's great. And the last time I had a fairly candid conversation with Bert about what he expected to go forward with the GBAS this year. He was thinking it would be could possibly be more limited than what it had been. So maybe not putting a huge amount of the work plan in the technical working group section about GBAS and those initiatives. I certainly would think that some of these could be mentioned.
Yeah, I think we can definitely mention in that section that Bert mentioned plus GBAS procedures, because this section specifically focuses on work with SFO, which we do know is an active partner, and we'd be able to continue to review and provide feedback should something happen. So I think that's a good place that we can place it, where it's broad enough and gives us the flexibility to consider GBAS procedures as they're developed.
And then I think that also on this, that in the technical working group, we should do a mention of the AAM, Advanced Air Mobility, so the air taxis, eVTOL, and the drones, along with supersonic, just that it's there to be able to be reviewed if it needs to be. We may not be getting anything, but I can understand that may want to be
You're thinking under
inserted.
goal 3.2?
I would think it's under 2 technical working group,
Right.
more than working with the airport. I mean, we work with you on everything, but I think it really does fall under the technical working group area to work.
That might be something that we can add to goal 2, which is the TWG expanded.
Right.
And
And
number 4.
And so I have that all here.
Oh, that's also in Christine's. Okay.
This is, yeah.
Okay.
And so I think we probably wouldn't need to elaborate because we don't know what we'll be working on, but have those as topics that we can work on.
Absolutely.
And Vanessa, can we share screen? Could somebody share screen while we're working through things, just so we all know that we're looking at the
Yeah.
same?
I think Diane's going to go ahead.
I'm the only one looking at something different.
Oh. And Darlene, thank you for all of your wonderful additions here.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. I'm sorry.
I do have one more comment, but it's on goal 4.
Okay, well, let's
Go ahead. Go ahead, Chair.
I think we're ready to go to goal 4. The only thing in goal on the fly quiet, the goals. Darlene, did you have some comments on that?
Yeah, I've been involved with this for 10 years, and my input is that I don't know if the goal is strengthen compliance tracking and accountability, because I think we should look at updating the program based on what the Roundtable has done over the last several years, which is identifying shortcut practices. And I think we need to understand more what is in control of the carrier and what's not in their control, and focus more on some of these, just a better focus now that we're more educated. So for example, United is 34% of the operations at SFO. And I think the second one is it's 19%. So putting our energy with the people that have the most volume might be a better strategy. So I'm not sure the goal is to do better at tracking what we have, but to allow the opportunity, given that the program was created before Next Gen and before a lot of the work that the Roundtable has done. I mean, I know this is a big lift, but shouldn't we step back and say, do we want to use the same criteria before we strengthen how we're tracking it, given all the learnings that we've had and maybe what we can learn from talking to United and maybe the second highest operational airline? Because United is in the lower half scoring of the program, and they're 34% of the ops.
So just on the title of the goal,
Yeah.
So strengthen blank within SFO's fly quiet. Strengthen participation.
Or maybe we,
And then we spell that out in the goals.
so
Is that,
maybe we add just the words review. So maybe the language is kind of switched and it says, the goal is review SFO's Fly Quiet program. And or something like that, so that it also includes a review of the current program, which is honestly, and to be transparent, something that the Roundtable does do with SFO. And it's not mentioned, the review of the actual program is not mentioned in any three of the goals underneath that goal. So maybe that's just something we can add, review SFO's Fly Quiet program to ensure compliance, tracking, and accountability. And I think maybe something that simple kind of could shift the goal from strengthening and more so kind of a comprehensive review of what the program is to see if there's anything that needs to be updated. Because there are, the idea is to incentivize the program. We want people to know about it and airlines to actually fly quiet and want to participate in the program. And so maybe that is something that we can tweak in the actual title of the goal.
and maybe in the title of the goal, review SFO's Fly Quiet program with recommendations and implementation support.
Yeah,
It's
I
actually the
think that's,
Roundtable's
I
Fly
think
Quiet
that's good.
program.
It's, well,
It's the SFO Fly Quiet program.
well, it's SFO's Fly Quiet program that's implemented by us, right?
I would say the SFO Fly Quiet program implemented by the Roundtable.
Okay,
At the Roundtable's request, SFO created the Fly Quiet program, brought it back to the Roundtable, and we've done a few revisions that we've brought in at the request of the Roundtable, wanting more metrics for places like Foster City that didn't have one. And so that's the nexus of it.
okay, well, there's a little history for you that I didn't know. So are we,
I like
So-
Vanessa's wording. I mean, I think the word review allows some possibilities for recommendations as opposed to we're just going to be better at tracking. So
Yeah.
I think that that's good.
agree.
Although what I don't like, the word review could be interpreted, and we don't need to change the words, but we don't want that to be interpreted as that we get this presentation and then only the presentation is the opportunity to change it, because you need the TWG discussion of the program. Do you see what I mean? In order to make recommendations. So if we get a presentation and that's the review, it's not enough, at the big round table.
I did have some suggested wording for strategic goal 4, number 4. I think, Terry, you have that.
I do, if do you want to read it? Or do you want me to?
Yeah, why don't you? I've got the 7-month
Okay.
here.
Okay, Christine's recommendation as an item number 4 under goal 4 was the roundtable will engage with SFO to advocate and provide feedback on the aircraft noise reduction efficacy of the current fly quiet criteria and to make suggestions as needed to improve these criteria and to augment with additional criteria to reflect community aircraft noise reduction goals.
Yeah, a variation of that is spot on. I mean,
Mhm.
that's the intent.
Um,
So
does that have any, would that have any red flags to you, Bert?
Not at all. We're actually working on different metrics we're monitoring right now. Some of them we mentioned with Mr. Srinivas, who spoke earlier. The offset arrival metric we're putting it up on our website. It's almost ready to go. At the time, the roundtable was under different leadership, and they were not wanting that per se, but wanted to do others. And so we felt it was good. We worked on it with the community liked it. And rather than have it just go stale, we decided to put it on our website. So that's the direction we took. It could just as easily become part of the Fly Quiet program or part of Fly Quiet 2.0 or whatever you want to call it. I don't mind. The only thing I would like to keep is our memory of the former noise officer who preceded me, John C. Long, in the awards, if we do continue to do that.
Well, again, we're not going into specific of what this is, work plan goals. So, you know, I don't have a problem adding that in, to the work plan under this section. And I think that's a really good add, Christine.
Yeah, and what I can also offer is what I can also do is attempt to reflect the new goal, number 4, in the overarching strategic goal. So that it doesn't just say strengthening compliance, tracking, and accountability, but it does also reflect back to the engagement and efficacy of the program, I think is a good word that we can add. And so without wordsmithing that here, I can just make a commitment to add that to strategic goal number 4, and then Christine's addition. So,
Okay.
yeah.
I would add
say to you,
to build on Christine's language, I think we do want to use a little of the wording in number 2, which is we want Jean, the technical consultant, to also help with what Christine reworded. Now that we're looking at reviewing, not just strengthening compliance.
Sure, I'm sure that Jean would be happy to weigh in on how we want to word that.
Well,
when-
it says
when we
use the
get to that
collaborate
point.
with the technical consultant to do the strengthening of compliance. I think we want to collaborate with the technical consultant for the review, all of the language that Christine had.
That's fine.
Yeah. I can further enhance that goal also, just to add the word review, so that it's clear that HMMH will also be helping us to review efficacy of the program, strengthen compliance, tracking, and accountability.
Excellent.
Okay, are we ready to move to goal 5? And I'm gonna put you on the hot spot again, Darlene. Did you have something you wanted to add in goal 5?
I didn't have anything that stuck out at me for goal 5.
Okay. I think the next I don't really have anything to add there. I think that when part of that is working on the website and making it easier to use, and as somewhat of a Luddite and not the person of the age that really wants to think about these things, it's really important that they are easy for all of us. And then we have, strategic goal 6 is missing, and that was the typo that we referred to earlier. Um,
Strategic goal number 7 is strategic goal number 6.
Yes.
So that's just the, yeah.
And so on strategic goal 6, which is listed as 7, improve roundtable effectiveness. Do we have any comments, Darlene or Christine, on that section?
And just an insight on number 1. I think if you think about all the new members of the roundtable, I think a training about what is it the roundtable member needs to know. So that's slightly different than that they need to know noise 101, but I think there's another list of what is it the roundtable person needs to know so that we can ask the questions and build on the roundtable meetings versus go back to 0 and say, why don't we have a curfew?
So we do provide new members with the roundtable orientation at their request. So we have had a lot of new members on the roundtable this year. And so I'll leave it to the members to discuss if they think that should be added as a actual item in the work plan. It's more of a administrative thing that between the clerk and myself, we handle when we onboard new members to the roundtable. So, I mean, it could be called out there, but it is something that already exists and is kind of an operational thing when people come onto the roundtable, if they request it.
And
Is it
am I
posted?
reading this
Yeah.
incorrectly on the first goal, where it says resource to the SFO roundtable members will posting on the website? I'm not sure.
That's a typo. It should be will be posted on the website for availability to roundtable members in public. So the Noise 101 training is currently on the SFO roundtable website. There's several links to different videos. The idea is to just, and this is something that we will talk about when we talk about updates to the website, to make that a little more user friendly so people are not having to click through. And it's also like a half a day's worth of videos. So that's a typo, but it should say will be posted on the website. So yeah, so people can click through it. And I do think the education piece for the members as well as the public is really important because we have a lot of times I think we have members of the public who come to the roundtable and they're looking for a space to voice concerns. And they really don't know where to go. And in this age where technology is kind of king, I think it would be great if our website pointed people to directions of what they're looking for. I know we have people who come to the meetings and then they sit and they talk with Bert or they'll talk to one of us, but I think it would be great if they could have that information readily available and easy to access on our website. So these are all kind of enhancement features that our web can do and more interactive features that are encompassed in that goal.
Okay, well, with that, I think that, you've lined out what goal 6 is, to make it more community focused, easily accessible, community focused information.
Yeah.
So is there any other things that we'd like seen put into the work plan for the year?
The only
That we
thing,
don't have,
and maybe I missed some of the discussion, I apologize, but about the regional collaboration, do we have enough in there about that being one of our overarching goals?
I think the regional collaboration we have under the legislative, but I know that we do have members from Alameda coming of their roundtable coming. They are coming to our meetings and they have some sort of agreement with Oakland to help them. And I'm not sure if there's some place we can put that in our work plan to foster that.
So we don't use the word the exact word regional, but in the goal 1, which is to enhance engagement, we do say that we'll invite members of Congress who represent the geographic areas and their staffs, as well as elected officials. So maybe there's where we want to just spell out the word regional, just so that, you know, maybe we say these briefings will ensure that regional legislators remain informed about community concerns, or maybe there's some way that I can add that.
Well, there's a comment from Christine. Work collaboratively with Roundtable partners, including SFO, FAA, airlines, elected officials, the community, and others to advance the overarching goal of the Roundtable to reduce aviation noise impacts to the residents of Roundtable communities.
Okay.
And we might be able to add in that, which is a separate little paragraph, Roundtable partners, blah, 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 and other noise, or other roundtables and noise groups.
Forums.
Okay, so that's under goal 2, which is expanding the coordination with
Yes.
TWG. So did we want to leave that there, or did we want to add it under legislation?
I think the TWG, I think would put it under, I think it really go more, is it under?
You know, I think what we had is fine. We've done a lot. It's after 7. We've done a lot of work. I think we're.
Okay.
Well, we can try to push this into it somewhere where it's appropriate in the document.
We can.
Any other comments on this topic from the public?
There are no public comments.
Okay. Then I guess I should go back to my script. Not that I'm good at reading scripts.
Well, I can just start. So the next item was really just to talk to our members who are here, so our chair and vice chair, about prioritizing what we think the TWG should work on moving forward. So this work plan covers the fiscal year that'll start July 1 through June 30th of 2026. And so this is just a discussion about what we think are priorities, and what we want to work on first versus what we think we could push out till maybe middle of the year, or if there's any discussion on things that are upcoming that we think is very important for TWG to start working on. So I will say that the work plan, once this is approved, we can jump right in, TWG can jump right in and start working on some of these initiatives and bringing recommendations forward to the full roundtable. So between you, Terry, and Christine, if there's anything you would like me to prioritize, that's what this item is.
Thank you very much to everyone for tonight.
Thank you so much. Great work, Vanessa.
Thank you.
I don't have a particular choice at this moment to move forward, but I'll be happy to give that a little bit of consideration over the next couple of days, so I can get back to you.
Okay. Sounds great.
So with that, I think we'll be going ahead and adjourning. And if there's no final comments from anyone, I will adjourn the meeting, and it is 7:08 p.m.
Well done, Madam.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.